took away from the dream break. You can blame it on the tech or the disrespect. Before you play, better button check. Button check.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. You already know what time it is. We got Dirrty Lo.
I'm here. We got a hot one today. I had to be here for this one.
Yeah, as soon as I saw what this was gonna be, I was like, yo, we gotta do it together.
Yep.
We've actually disagreed on this topic quite a few times.
Oh, yeah.
He hasn't seen this yet. I've seen a big portion of it. I actually did reach out to Technicals. We got the permission.
Yep.
Initially, I was only gonna react to like 10 minutes. But the more I watched, I was like, shit, we gotta watch everything.
It sounds hype. You told me about it. I'm like, ooh, I'm down to watch that.
This is the most in-depth I've ever seen anybody go on this case, because there's been a lot of talk, right?
Yeah.
A lot of separate investigations. Technicals, he went in like nobody, like literally this man should do this for a damn living as far as like a private investigator, because he busted this shit wide open. So we're about to get some answers, y'all. Hopefully by the end of this thing, we can finally bury this topic altogether. He talks about the 3 strikes against infiltration and the current one, and there's gonna be timestamps down below. So best believe, y'all, it's a lengthy one, right?
Yeah.
So we got the timestamps down below. We's about to get it and give you our honest opinion.
Yeah.
All right, and if we disagree, we disagree.
Might be surprised. You might be surprised.
So y'all let us know how y'all feeling. Let's go. All right, Button Check fam, real quick. We got a special word from a special sponsor right here, Raycon. This is the everyday earbud and the price is right. So these earbuds right here are known as RAD. And no, it's not the 1980s. By RAD, I mean reliable, accessible, and delightful. And if you watch the show, you already know. This is why I like this particular one, because it fits. They offer you all these gel tips, so you don't have to worry about all that, looseness or not hitting your ear right. That's why I always didn't like earbuds. But this one, check this out. So you're gonna get 2 cases. This one right here is the USB to USB-C cable right here, so you can check that out. That comes in the box, but also, this is what's gonna fill in the ear. Check this out. So it already comes with one already on it. I think it's like a medium fit. Look at this. Bam. So there you go. 4 extra sets come in the box, not including the one that's already on the earbuds when you get them. Also, one of the things that sets this apart, it has noise canceling features. Not only does it have the touch activation, but it has noise canceling features. So if you ever need to like really get in the groove, get into some work, you don't want to hear anything else, working from home, going on a jog, this is going to do it right here. It's water resistant, and the battery pack, once charged, gives you up to 32 hours of usage. 32 hours. Here's the other thing. This might seem small, but this is what sold me. So I'm gonna go on the screen right here, look at Bluetooth. I'm gonna activate this right there. Raycon Everyday Earbuds. We're gonna connect it. We are connected. Like I said, that might seem small, but so many times I've gotten some of these in the past and they've connected to my phone pretty easy, but they don't connect to my laptop, and I never found out why, even looking up videos. This one right here automatically does it. And check this out. I literally just stopped the video by pressing the button right here. I'm gonna do it again. Anyway, let's unpack. I'm just gonna tap it twice and it keeps going. And we in there. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know I could actually control the video with these. That's dope as hell. So there you go, Butt Check fam. Obviously, this is why I'm rocking with the Raycon Everyday Earbuds. They have active noise canceling. Not only that, they're affordable, they're budget friendly, they're dust proof, and they're water resistant. So there you go, link down below. Check out the savings today. Now let's get back to checking some buttons. Let's go.
Oh, it's you again.
This dude literally did a whole set for this.
This is pretty.
Let's start it from the top. Infiltration was a Korean fighting game superstar with 6 EVO championship titles during the height of his career, but now has gone from fierce competitor to feared criminal in the eyes of the public. And all it took was 3 strikes over 6 years to do it.
Bro, feared criminal. Literally, that's literally, it's like, he's kind of right. People think of him as feared criminal.
They do.
Like, what?
No, remember they even wrote rapist.
Yes.
Which he'll talk about it there. He'll talk
Oh
about
my God.
No, but it's a whole thing. Let's get into it, like for real.
This is the
First came right before the Capcom
Oh,
Pro
man.
Tour event at the Tokyo Game Show in 2018, where news of damaging allegations reached Infiltration through his manager David Wu at Panda Global. Materials containing malicious content about you are being spread throughout online communities around the world. You must quickly hurry back to Korea and resolve this matter. Panda Global would then announce Infiltration's withdrawal from the event in lieu of an investigation into the claims made by the Redditor criminal Siam-Woo Lee, which is Infiltration's real name, minus the criminal part, obviously. For the Western audience, this was the first time hearing of such a thing, but these whispers have been circling Korean and Japanese forums months prior. The writing chiefly pertained to domestic violence, fraud, and destruction of property. More specifically, the user would claim that Infiltration, quote, snatched his ex-wife's phone, choked her to near death, and dragged her out of the apartment. They also claim that after his ex-wife won the criminal case that he hid his assets under someone else's name in order to not pay the compensation of 20 million won, or 20,000 USD, from the criminal trial. Committed fraud against his sponsor Razer by fabricating expense reports, and that he came to her apartment again after the initial restraining order ended and started destroying her stuff and beat her again. Provided alongside these claims are 2 case numbers in Korean.
They just said, went back again after all of this and beat her again.
Yeah, I know.
And a partial audio transcript of the domestic dispute, and a tweet from his ex-wife that has since been deleted to avoid legal retaliation, where she mentions that she won the criminal case and was starting the civil case for compensation. Unlike in the United States, South Korea actually has laws against defaming people, even if the defamation in question is the truth. Seems kind of fucked up, but that's a story for another day. This particular case has been the subject of discussion in the Street Fighter community for years, subsequently resulting in a considerable amount of misinformation or outright confusion. Over the past few months, I've taken it upon
Bro, that's you multiple times, bro. We're on this. This is our topic.
Let's be real. A lot of people that I even know in the FGC, that have names, they're scared to talk about it.
I know.
Because they don't want to get retaliation, or they don't want people that they rub elbows with at Capcom or higher ups to be like, why are you even talking about him? You can't even say. I've done interviews where people wouldn't even want his name mentioned. You know what I'm saying? That's how, like, we don't talk about this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you search Infiltration, you see butt check. Because I'm going to tell you all the news. I ain't tied to none of these motherfuckers, so I'm going to tell you all the news.
I just love that, bro. I just love it.
Let's go.
myself to investigate and trim the fat so you don't have to. But thankfully, I didn't have to start from scratch. 2 months after the suspension from Capcom events by Panda Global, a comprehensive summary of their findings would be posted to Twitter, YouTube, and across all of the relevant subreddits.
Recently, an anonymous group made a series of allegations.
You see that were like, they just took word of mouth.
Yeah.
They were like, too
bro,
long,
I didn't read it. I forgot they did this, and this came out. I didn't read a word of it.
Yep.
I'm as ignorant as everyone else right now in the actual reality of what happened. No one really knows. I'm glad this dude is like, Panda did an investigation. Did anyone see the results? Well, here they are.
I saw, okay, I didn't read, I skimmed it, but I also heard what they said. Obviously, I heard what Infiltration said. I heard their original allegations. Follow-ups as well. So I thought I had a good, but I always knew, something in the back of my mind was like, you don't know everything. You weren't there. You weren't there. It's just a shitty situation all the way around. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny to hear you say that because for so long he's like, free Infiltration. I'm like, wait a minute, you don't even know the fucking details.
I'm just a man who's willing to give people second chances. And honestly, before this video, I remember we talking about it, so, oh, that's great. But then I was really thinking, I was like, man, yeah, I want him to get second chances, but he has also done some crazy stuff that just makes him look worse and worse.
It keeps happening.
But is that the result? Because it's not something that, like, hey, he had the band and all this happened, all this stuff, he went crazy right afterwards. It's been kind of like a slow progression over the last few years. You know, since then. So is it because he's been ostracized from the community and this is a result? Or this is who he is and it's just slowly been coming out? It's hard to tell.
That's a good question.
It's hard to tell.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
Against our Street Fighter player Infiltration, both through private emails and Reddit.
In it, they state that information had been submitted by Infiltration upon request, and that the anonymous leaker sent an audio recording of the alleged beating via email, but that according to their Korean legal counsel, disseminating this would be a bad idea. That's to be expected, but unfortunately, it also means it wasn't possible for me to get my hands on. They also stated that all translated documents had been sent to both Panda Global and Capcom for review. After the introduction, we're given a complete timeline of events and a rebuttal to the claims made in both the original Reddit post and the email sent to Panda Global's team. Now this is where things start to get a little confusing. I could read you their summary like everyone else and call it a day, but that wouldn't sit quite right with me. After all, who would blindly trust an esports organization to give them an accurate criminal investigation into one of their own players? So I did.
Baller, bro. Come on. He's right, bro. We're all like, well, what did Panda say? Who the fuck is Panda to say anything? They're just some dudes who run a video game sports. You know what I mean? Yeah, they probably got lawyers, but what are they really doing?
That's what I'm saying. Like they said they hired a private investigator.
Yeah.
So they did their findings, you know what I'm saying? And people kind of just went off of that, which I get. They're Panda at the time. You know, now Panda's
Who were they hired?
Panda's been canceled now, you know, but at the time they were really big shit.
There are a lot of dirty PIs out there. That's all I'm saying, bro. If I was a PI, I'd be dirty as hell. I'd be one of those that plants evidence.
All I know is my interview with Infiltration is on the screen right now. That interview sucked ass. I did a follow-up telling people on the Patreon.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I think I failed on that interview. I really did.
At least you're able to call it out and be like, I failed.
I should have asked way more hard-hitting questions. It was a fluff piece, and I let him, basically, he would only do it if he asked the questions that he wanted to be asked. You know what I'm saying? And at the time, right before that, he blocked me and he was talking shit about me. But his viewers were like, give Nesto a chance. Yeah. So he was like, yo, are you willing? I'm willing. I was like, yo, I'm willing. Let's hear your side of the story. But anyway, long story short, I don't want to talk to, because I've already talked about this a lot. Yeah. I rewatched the video and I was like, fuck, I didn't really get to ask my questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, anyway, that's long. Let's go.
Did what any real detective would do. I set out to solve this mystery on my own. Since July, I've been in close contact with Infiltration. However, he would not return my messages starting in August. Just when I thought he might have been ghosting me, I learned that this was due to the production of his own video where he'd outlined the details of his case in far more depth than had ever been accessible to the public. In it, he'd reveal text messages with his ex-wife, court documents across several cases, and even the identity of the Reddit user Criminal Sian-Woo Lee, who released the audio transcripts, case numbers, and surprisingly had access to the actual audio recording of the domestic dispute. With the contents of this 42-minute video, Panda Global's summary, and my own independent investigation, I could finally answer the questions on everyone's mind since September of 2018. So without further ado, let's go through them one by one. Let's start with the elephant in the room.
Videos,
yes.
You got a subscriber, bro. Tentacles, you're the man. You're the man.
I'm trying to tell y'all, man, this man is a predominantly Smash player.
Yeah.
He's been banned from Smash. He's the only fucking guy I know, besides Infiltration. Yeah. He's banned, he wears a disguise. And
Why is he banned?
I don't know what he did.
First off, wait. Why
they mentioned it in this video. They mentioned it, apparently, they say like he's either said some stuff or rubbed somebody the wrong way. He has a tendency to go against the grain, no matter what organizer you are.
Look, you're telling the guy who's
but I don't know the
ostracized from the Smash community, I'll mess with him. Because you know how I feel about Smash. So for a second I was like, wait, he's a Smash player? No, he's been kicked out of Smash.
He's been kicked out.
Acceptable. Come. I like this so far. I like it.
So he has like a fuck it mentality where he's like, I will investigate and I'll get in your ass no matter who you are.
Technical, you're my boy.
This
we're cool. Do not worry about nothing, bro. I'm straight as an arrow. There's nothing to look at.
Dirty Lo said, don't look at my files.
Don't look at my files.
I'm cool over here, baby.
No. I got your back. You need help with a case investigation. I've been known to do some private work on the side. Rick Saucier, give him a call. Okay, PI, Rick Saucier.
Rick Saucier.
That's my PI name.
All right.
You don't go by your real name when you're a private investigator, bro.
I guess so. Yeah. Anyway, let's check this out.
Infiltration was charged with violence against his wife. That is an indisputable fact, and the charge is well documented. The audio transcript provided by the Redditor of the altercation on October 22nd, 2017 is also pretty damning. To give you a few excerpts from the leaks, "Give me what's mine," referring to her phone. "Hey, if you use force, it's at your disadvantage, so just stay still. Ah, don't do it. Don't choke. Blank, it really hurts. It really hurts, so don't do it. Dude, assess your situation carefully. You fucking want to get your bones broken right now." Well, case closed. In a perfect world, sure. But what I really wanted to know was, why did he only get a minor fine of 700,000 won, or $630 at the time, out of a maximum of 5 million won, or 4,500, and only got charged with a crime of violence if he choked her to near death, beat her in front of the cops, and there's a mountain of evidence to prove it. Now that might sound confusing.
I said that when this first dropped, I'm like, how is it such a small fine? What is this? This doesn't make sense. Bro, I've been in the legal system, I know what's up. None of that made sense as far as this is really what he did and cops saw it. Why was he only getting fined this? It seemed too low. He's right.
From a Western view of the legal system, but because Korea has so many problems with domestic violence, the law is actually far more specific when it comes to these cases. Let me show you what I mean. If you read the summary report of the verdict, Infiltration was charged with violating Article 260 of the Criminal Act in the Republic of Korea. What's even more interesting is that in this article, if the victim chooses not to prosecute the crime, the whole thing gets thrown away, which is something she actually offered to do on November 2nd in DMs, by stating that she wouldn't go to the detective's office and instead would reconcile through family court. But this is very important, the victim cannot object to prosecution in cases involving bodily injury, which are entirely different articles and charges. Meaning that for Article 260, you don't actually need to harm someone to be charged, but the threat of violence, or simple physical contact, could be designated as simple violence, as opposed to special violence, which would involve a weapon, or violence that actually results in bodily injury. For example, anything resulting in scars, bruises, broken bones or teeth, loss of consciousness, hair loss, etc. That would fall under Article 257, inflicting bodily injury on other or on lineal ascendant, which is like a grandparent or parent. A person who inflicts a bodily injury upon another shall be punished by imprisonment for not more than 7 years, or suspension of qualifications for not more than 10 years, or by a fine not exceeding 10 million won. That would already double the fines from before. That's just for bodily injury. The more severe charge is Article 258 for aggravated bodily injury. A person who inflicts bodily injury upon another, thereby endangering one's life, shall be punished by imprisonment for at least 1 year up to 10 years. There's not even a possibility for a fine here. And this is the exact article, given the Redditor's explanation, if accurate, that I had assumed he'd be charged with. If he was in fact beating her for an hour, dragged her in front of the condo security and neighbors, continued beating her into attempted unconsciousness in front of police, and she won the criminal case with the proofs provided, like the email sent to Panda Global suggests, there's no fucking way they wouldn't have charged him with bodily injury. This dude must be tripping off Fent if he thinks I'm gonna believe that's what happened. However, in a shocking turn of events, she was diagnosed with contusions, which are bruises for the uninformed, across her body, and inflammation to the wrist a day later. Yet this didn't elevate the charges. Why? Well, surprisingly, according to her attorney, they never actually submitted this as evidence to the police. Nor did they submit the recording. That seems a little odd to me. These people are either unknowingly celebrating a verdict they don't believe in, the Korean police are incompetent and really did give Infiltration a plea deal in spite of her injuries, or someone is not being entirely truthful, resulting in lesser charges. Yeah, I personally always consider lying to be far more plausible and exciting, but even that may still be up for debate. Who knows? If you couldn't tell, I'm not Korean, and therefore lack the home field advantage. But let's see what Panda Global had to say first. Look. Panda Global had access to the complete translated transcript from their incident report. Turns out, the excerpts from our leaker started 5 pages after the beginning of the recording and is only 7 random pages out of a total of 22. Panda Global highlighted 3 interactions they found the most important. The source of their conflict being a divorce, both Infiltration and his ex-wife threatening to report each other for assault. You report, I report. Let each of us report. Dude, you're reporting me for assaulting someone when I never did. Fucking dick. You didn't do anything. Isn't this assault? If I report you, you report me too. I told you I would report you. You report me too. If you report me, I will report you too. And blank, I will go to the police no matter what. And another line from Infiltration that stated, how can you accuse me of assault if there was no violence? Panda Global goes on to illuminate how Miss X told him she would call them back after the police left the first time peacefully without intervention and accuse him of assault. There's even a part where she says if she got her phone back, she wouldn't report it to the police. This followed a heated argument over the purchase of a dishwasher when his ex-wife used his credit card without his consent.
그러던 도중 제 핸드폰에 김양리가 저에게 생활비 명목으로 받은 신용카드로 32만 원 상당의 식기세척기를 구매했다는 내용이 보이더군요.
내 지금 경제 상황이 어떤지 알아요? 내가 나오기 전에 말했죠. 320만 원이 통장에 있는데 400만 원 이상의 카드값으로 나왔다. 그리고 대기 그 다음 날에 30몇만 원짜리 식기세척기랑 비닐을 구매했어요.
32만 원짜리.
Infiltration had been struggling with money and their impending divorce was already on the table at the time. The sudden note.
That's not crazy. Bro, why you spending all this money? I told you exactly how much money he had. But it's only this amount of money. He's like, but I still told.
Yeah, I remember there was another excerpt, not in this video, but a different one where she was saying, because you know, Infiltration put the audio out where she was like, well, you told me to I need to be washing the dishes, so that's why I did it. But he was like, now you do it?
Yeah.
Like now, and it was this much money, but yeah.
Everything that I've seen so far just tells me exactly what I thought when they first have dropped. He was in a toxic relationship, and they're both crazy. They shouldn't have been with each other. This is what happens.
I remember Dirrty Lo saying that a long time ago, because we're not some young bucks anymore.
Nope.
You know, we've been around the block, so we've been in some relationships. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I know the ones he's been in.
Attract
he knows the one I've been
crazy
in.
bipolar women. It's just what I attract. If a woman's immediately attracting me from the jump, I literally go, she must have a mental disease. Literally. Because that has been my dating life forever.
Yeah, so when he saw this, he was like, bro, it literally sounds like a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
Like, she sounds like she's on some shit, and he might be on some shit.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it never ends well.
Notification of purchase would be the spark that light his fuse. Up until now, Panda Global, Capcom, and the relevant parties have been the only ones able to view the legal documents in full. Take a wild guess who happens to have a 662-page PDF with all of that and more. This guy. Really thought I didn't have all the answers? That was a test, and I'm sorry to tell you, but you got a B- for bitch. I just made that part up. My immediate thought after only reading Panda Global's summary was that with the threats of accusations and the premeditated nature of the audio recording, it would be impossible to rule out any foul play. Anyone could just say out loud what's happening, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. Yes. I know I'm kind of playing the devil's advocate here, but there's also a small part of me that wonders how there's 22 pages of transcribed dialogue from someone yelling about how they're being choked. From my experience, you can't really talk when your trachea is being crushed. However, that's not to say that what the evidence does show isn't a serious problem. There's threats and intimidation like, I'm gonna kill you, or should I strangle you until you stop crying? That even if he didn't actually do it, and it was just yelling in the heat of the moment, it would rightfully constitute intervention on its own. It's pretty worrisome. If not the police, then certainly some lengthy marriage counseling. Of course, there's also a language and cultural barrier here, so I can't confidently discern their argument anyways. I can't trust Google Translate for everything, which I'll admit has made this case quite the headache. But if we take into account the results of the criminal case, the ex-wife's medical report, the full audio transcript, and the rebuttals from each party's legal team, I think the most likely scenario is that Infiltration was afraid she would report him for assault, and use him breaking stuff like his keyboard in their previous argument over finances and divorce as her primary evidence. When she called the police, he quickly snatched her phone, hung up, and attempted to erase anything incriminating. Utilizing his superior strength, he restrained her wrist for a prolonged period, resulting in the reported inflammation. And the desperate struggle to retrieve her phone prompted further preventative measures such as pressing down on her or the contentious chokehold. Although this may have been in response to her allegedly scratching and hitting him, which is the story he tells, but even pieces of the transcript illustrate this potential scenario. Like on page 9 where he says, "Hey look, you're suddenly assaulting me. Hey, think about it. Calm down and think about it." She responds, "You're assaulting me right now. You too. Report me now. Report me. Let's each report." This would explain the miscellaneous bruises. However, if he were to have choked her to the degree exclaimed in this transcript or in the public allegations, it would have materialized in either the medical report or a more severe criminal charge. But the lack of such evidence plainly refutes this, seeing as how her throat isn't even mentioned from the hospital visit a day later, and he got the lightest charge possible. That would mean that while injuries did occur, this was caused by grappling over his ex-wife's phone, and not a torturous exhibition of physical violence as others have insinuated. When someone says a beating occurred, you normally assume at least a single punch or kick was thrown. The literal definition is an act of striking with repeated blows so as to injure or damage. I wouldn't necessarily call holding and restraining someone a beating, but obviously any kind of unwanted physical contact and even spitting on someone can legally be categorized as an assault.
That's the crazy part, like the way he broke this down, it's literally the exact same I thought when it came out. I was like, oh, it sounds like they got in a heated argument. Yeah. They got into it. Someone got a little physical. You know, you ever try to restrain someone who's acting crazy trying to attack you? If someone's trying to punch you, if it's a woman, it's a man, and you grab them and just stop them, and you guys, hey, stop. Right. You don't think that the actual force of you trying to stop them is going to actually hurt them a little? Right. Cause a bruise in the wrist? Yeah. Literally like that? You never had someone stop you, mess with you? You never played football, someone grab you, throw you something, all of a sudden your wrist hurts because you've been grabbed in a hard way that's normal? Yeah. You're frantic. You guys are fighting. It literally sounded like they got in a heated argument. It got a little physical. Not this crazy thing abuse. Doesn't make it right.
Yeah, I was talking to Barb. I think it was my barber. It was somebody, but he was like talking about his talk. You know, barbers be talking. He was talking about his toxic baby mama. Yeah. And he was like, every single time he has any interaction, he's on record because he's like, she'll try to lie, she'll try to do this, she'll try to do that. Yeah. And, you know, he's like, I call the cops every fucking time I can for anything. He's like, because I'm going to be on record. It's whoever calls first. Yes. He's like, I'm going to be on record to let them know I'm not doing nothing. It's all good, yada, yada. That way, when she calls or she try to do bullshit, they know that, you know, what time it is. And I guess that she's that toxic. But anyway, long story short, what he was saying, like, yeah, you literally can be, and I'm not saying he was in this case, but I'm saying you literally can be the innocent one or the one trying to calm somebody down, and now you going to jail.
Yeah.
Because you were holding them because they were
Yeah.
trying to beat you up.
I literally had this happen to me. I was in downtown Dallas. I was at an X. It was an X at this time.
Hold on,
bro.
Listen to this story,
Bro.
Listen to this story, y'all.
Bro.
He's gonna give y'all some insight.
Okay. I lived in downtown at the time.
Vulnerability, right here.
I was living in downtown. I was having an ex stay with me. I was helping her out. She was in a toxic relationship. We're still friends and stuff like that. And I was like, you can come stay. You and your daughter can come stay with me for a few weeks to get back to your feet. We decided to just go hang out and drink. So we go to this bar. She gets piss drunk. I'm talking to the point where I'm upset. I leave. Yeah. I leave the bar. I tell her, because she's like starting shit with dudes in the bar and stuff like that.
Right.
She doesn't want to stop playing pool. So I'm like, and she's like basically kind of told me off.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck you. I don't have to deal with this. I'm leaving. Like, you're my, whatever. Fuck you. I'm out.
Right,
I'm not in charge of you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I knew how she was.
Right.
So I eventually end up going home, and then and I was like, damn, it's been like an hour, and she's pissed drunk.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on. So I go back to the bar. I walk in. The moment I walk in, she is getting into it with the bouncer. She's like right in the face of the bouncer, and she pushes him. And he immediately grabs her and starts walking around. I go to the bouncer. I'm like, I know her. Let me get her out, right? So we have to walk down these stairs because it's an elephant room, I think it was called. We're walking down these. She's stumbling down these flight of stairs down into the street. I'm trying to get her to calm down. She's flipped out. She starts like getting into me, and I'm like, I'm just trying to get her home.
Right.
All of a sudden, she punches me. She's like, oh, you don't care. I'm like, we got to go home. They're going to call the cops. Like, let me get you.
Did she punch you in the face?
She punched me in the face, and then she ran off. And then what happened, because I'm trying to like get her to stop. I'm like, hey, calm down. I have her hands like this. I'm like, hey, because she's acting frantic. She's drunk. And all of a sudden, she's like, leave me alone. She gets her, and she punches me in the face, and she runs off. Bro, the cops show up. They say, we have reports of a man attacking a woman that fit your description. I'm trying to explain to the officer situation go up. Luckily, 2 guys came up and said, officer, no. That is not what happened. She is drunk. She is trying to calm her down. She hit him and then ran off. And I was like, thank God, because the cops were thinking it was me. Luckily, these 2 guys happened to be around. They saw, they came up, they explained the cop situation. The cops literally go, where's she at now? I go, she ran off. They was like, well, you better find her before we do.
God bless those young men. God bless those guys.
So I literally have seen this, and if it wasn't for some people seeing and coming up and explaining my situation, because all they saw was some dude having hands like this, and then we want to punch her riding off, not knowing that she just got kicked out of this bar, that she's pissed drunk, that she has mental illnesses and can get violence, and then end up like and this happening, like and punched me and then ran off.
But imagine if no witnesses.
No witnesses.
Now you are going to jail.
Yeah.
And the FGC finds out Dirrty Lo
beat a woman.
Right? Oh,
and is arrested in downtown.
And you know it was real because there's a police report.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now your ass is exiled.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, this is not based on him. This is his true story.
Yes.
So that's
this
why I was
happened
like,
to me.
This is how shit can unravel. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I like getting the understanding. Because that's the thing that always bothered me about the FGC, especially on Twitter, is people are real quick to cancel and to throw away, but nobody really knows the facts. I love how he just admitted, like, well, I don't really know the facts.
I know. I'm like, I really don't know.
People are just like, nah, too long, didn't read. And that's just not Twitter. That's with fucking life. People are like, I don't care. You're guilty. Bye. You're the devil. Bye. People writing rapist on infiltration at Evo. And infiltration, like, I was never even accused of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? So anyway, long story short, like FGC, I don't know. It's a bunch of bullshit, but it's nothing new. All right, well, let's keep going here, man. That story right there, I remember when he first told me that story, I was like, what the fuck? Because I know exactly who he's talking about.
Yeah.
I know exactly who she is, because she's been in his life for a while. Yeah. So I was like, holy shit, you are a good man. You are a good man to like have restraint after all that shit. You know
I was just like, Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, so let's continue.
That's accurate. I know I'm already in a jumpsuit, but I hope it's very clear that while I make these distinctions based on available evidence and definitions, I know, crazy concept, it doesn't mean I agree with what happened. I just need to know what did first. That's what investigating is. It was in the title when you clicked on the video. And our little Redditor friend isn't making my job any easier.
All right, that's it. Get off of me! Get off of me! Get out of here!
While the violence charge was certainly complicated to navigate, I noticed the author was starting to get sloppy. He claimed Infiltration beat his ex-wife and broke her stuff even before the situation outlined in the criminal case from October, because he lost at EVO. This is not substantiated nor elaborated upon at any point. However, there is a case I found that he might be confusing it with.
저와 김양리는 2017년 6월에 말다툼이 있었습니다. 이 다툼 도중 화가 난 김양리가 에보라는 대회에서의 우승 트로피 2개를 바닥에 던져 부셔버렸던 일이 있었죠.
Text messages dated June 13th show his ex-wife apologizing after he says she accidentally did something wrong and that he's sending her photos and videos of the trophy that she broke. His version of events is that he knocked some stuff off a shelf and in retaliation, she broke the trophy. However, in her counterclaim for the defamation suit, she claimed that he dropped it in frustration while attempting to threaten her and she was simply trying to avoid escalation. Not quite sure who's in the right here. He could have broken it, or she did. But despite everything I could find, while it's true that stuff was in fact broken, I'm not seeing any verdict that would suggest a full-on beating from anyone. A dropped trophy and some random shit on the floor, sure. But an assault? That onus would be on the accuser to prove, which they did not. Our investigator said that he was probably trying to get rid of her and take her condo and assets. Does your investigator have a degree in Netflix? Where the fuck did that come from? In light of this ingenious theory crafted out of thin air, I'm gonna go ahead and take a wild guess that your investigators are just you, and that you watch far too much CSI Miami. But before we unmask the vigilante redditor, there's a few more claims we need to speed through. First off, the claim about Infiltration fabricating expense reports is shut down almost immediately. The FGC consultant for Razor, Markman, denied the accusation in the same thread, stating frankly that he did not commit fraud while sponsored. Despite claiming to have proof and that they were willing to talk, this was ultimately never discussed anywhere outside of their email to David Wu in July. They stated that Infiltration was simply that he did not commit fraud while sponsored. Despite claiming to have proof and that they were willing to talk, this was ultimately never discussed anywhere outside of their email to David Wu in July. They stated that Infiltration was booking and canceling hotels and flights and photoshopping receipts to Razor in order to reimburse himself for non-existent purchases. This evidence, among everything else, was accredited to the work of unnamed private investigators. Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I don't think even the best PIs have the legal jurisdiction or know-how to obtain first-hand email confirmations of bookings, screen recordings of someone's devices with private messages open, or personal email chains to sponsors like what was attached here. In fact, it wasn't even legal to consider yourself a private detective in Korea until 2020. This happened in 2018. Even then, they were still prohibited from collecting evidence in criminal and civil cases, banned from collecting evidence for cases under investigation, and from gathering information to prove cheating of a spouse in order to protect the privacy of citizens. They're mostly errand boys for missing children. If you're a Smash player, write that one down. That might come in handy. Bearing in mind that they would have had to violate almost
This fool is
Bro.
not letting
Shit,
it go.
I love him. I love it, bro.
Bearing in mind that they would have had to violate almost every single restriction in Korean law to obtain this information, unless you hired a very well-connected and illegal detective agency. I don't.
He's basically saying like, y'all keep saying back in 2018 that you hired a private investigator.
Yeah.
It's like, how did the private investigator get all this personal stuff, the screenshots and all that? That obviously somebody took a picture of, because even there was a case where Infiltration said he was in the shower and she grabbed his phone and went through all of his stuff and took pictures and all that, yada, yada, yada. So I don't know if this is all blended together, but basically that's what Technicals is saying right now. He's like, you can't even have a private investigator back in 2000.
They couldn't do any of the stuff you needed. They couldn't get, who'd you hire? Someone illegal? So is this done illegally?
So that's why he's like going to the conclusion like it was y'all. Yeah. Like you and the other guy, which he's about to show, it had to have been you guys.
I don't think you hired a PI at all. You're either Infiltration's ex-wife or in direct contact with her. But we'll find that out soon enough. Revisiting the Reddit post, he also claims that after the first restraining order was lifted on November 3rd, Infiltration went to her house again, destroyed her stuff, and beat her again. He refers to this as the second assault charge. I actually have the summary order from case 10532 that he lists here as evidence, and it's just a damage to property case, not an assault charge like the last one. The citation only reflects a fine for when Infiltration hired a locksmith who dismantled her electronic lock to retrieve his belongings after the passcode was changed. This occurred mainly because she wouldn't allow him back into their apartment unless he agreed to be in a relationship with her and continued paying bills. According to those same text messages, she wouldn't be at home when he planned to arrive and warned him about forcing open the door. I don't know how he possibly managed to beat her when she wasn't even there, and as her attorney later stated, would have been at work by the time he returned with the locksmith at 5, but your guess is as good as mine. Before and after this event, his ex-wife continued to text and call him several times, allegedly visited outside of his parents' house, which he referred to as stalking.
오히려 김영리는 오후 7시경에 부모님 집에 멋대로 찾아오는 스토커 같은 모습을 보인 날이었습니다.
And repeatedly told him how much she missed and loved him, to which he replied, "Please stop calling me." That is, until they eventually met up around Christmas. Remember that little detail, because this will become very important later. Last but not least, Infiltration was accused of hiding his assets to avoid paying his criminal fines, and that he was attending a tournament to avoid the second trial. Never mind the fact that the Redditor already acknowledged his attorney would be there, and he isn't required to show up anyways. So, kind of pointless to throw in, but fuck it. Let's address it anyway. Alright, so this fine of $20,000 is based on literally nothing. Neither the assault charge nor the damage to property case comes even close to 20 million won. But if it were true that Infiltration was hiding $930 worth of assets under a different name to avoid paying his ex-wife, in the mediation record for their division of property case over their joint apartment, she was ordered to pay him 98 million won, or approximately 90 to 100,000 USD by February 28th, 2019. Would have just gone right back into his wallet anyways. Excuse my French, but who gives a shit? Our mystery man is really starting to lose me here. Between the lying about fraud, inaccurate fine payments, embellishing random details, and his somehow impossible acquisition of personal documents and records, there's either a Korean Batman roaming the streets, or we have ourselves an inside collaborator.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Hey, what are you in for? The evidence, hold on, I don't want to sit on this fucking toilet anymore. The evidence that would unveil the elusive co-conspirator came from an unexpected source. 4 days after the infamous threat from criminal Sian-Woo Lee, someone reached out to an ex-girlfriend of Infiltration, who he broke up with in 2013, to hopefully strengthen the mounting case against him. A woman that 8 months prior, in early January, also received a DM from his ex-wife regarding an alleged affair. To fully understand the connection between the Redditor and our newly found concerned citizen, let's look at the last sentence of the Reddit post. This is still an ongoing process, and many people are eager to share what they know about Infiltration every day. Whoever wrote this was actively still looking for more. Sometimes at the cost of accuracy, truth, or in this case, their own anonymity. Did I say that right? Anonymity. Anonymity. 3 months after she was contacted, Infiltration's ex-girlfriend sent him a screenshot from Facebook Messenger. Hidden in plain sight was the man behind it all. The emails, threatening DMs alluding to an investigation, and the accounts responsible was none other than his acquaintance and ex-wife's cousin, Charlie O.
Charlie O.
Would make a lot of sense. Who else could it be? Charlie lived in California. Wouldn't have to navigate the hellscape of Korean defamation laws. I live overseas and have all of the evidence. I will send the evidence directly to Panda Global. Not convinced yet? I don't blame you. Being a member of the FGC himself and family to the victim, there's an adequate level of investment to satisfy a motive, and the use of a proxy and VPN would clear his ex-wife of any legal culpability. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that it wasn't him. Unless he's just lying, how could he know that she planned to gather stories on Infiltration to build a case in 2018 for domestic violence and torture that, to my knowledge, doesn't even exist? How did the pseudonym criminal Infiltration know about the screen recordings his ex-wife took of Infiltration's phone during his Christmas visit in 2017? That's right. When he came over for the last time in December, she suspected him of having an affair, and the DM she sent his ex displayed her intimate knowledge of her findings only 2 weeks later. She also confessed to this invasion of privacy during a police interrogation, because she felt deceived into having relations with him after seeing the notification from another woman pop up on his phone. However, that doesn't quite explain why she chose to record other group chats, like Korea FGC. Consequently, the verdict from the Seoul Southern District Court fined her 1 million won for the violation of privacy. But these screenshots were only submitted to a family court for their division of property mediation, which was a private and ongoing case. And as we already know, it would have been illegal for any so-called private investigator to retrieve this information. Meaning that the only way her screenshots could end up in a Panda Global manager's inbox is if she sent it, leaked it, or had an accomplice. If you look at the record from that case, she was
She's going to courts and there's defamation lawsuits and all. Like, have you ever been in a breakup with a relationship with a woman or broken up with a woman where you're like, I'm taking you to court for defamation?
Yeah, well, it's not the same here. But there's a lot
Bro,
of shit.
like
privacy.
Yeah.
She's getting sued. She owes him money.
Yeah,
like,
and then he did defamation and he won and she owes him a bunch of money.
Yeah, she owed him a shitload of money.
Like, dude,
what is happening?
what the hell is this?
It's a lot.
Bro.
was being ordered to pay Infiltration around $100,000 for the apartment. Couple that with a slap on the wrist for his violence charge, the fact that she was now snooping around for more stories, and add a sprinkle of passion as the cherry on top, and you now have plenty of evidence to establish a clear motive. Which might also explain how some random Redditor gained access to Infiltration's private expense reports and contracts. Because according to her rebuttal in the defamation lawsuit, she was CC'd in most of his business deals and already had all of these documents on her own computer. So just to recap, in total, this completely anonymous person had private contracts, documents, and receipts, an audio recording of the domestic dispute that wouldn't be accessible through public case filings, and screenshots of Infiltration's phone. But the leaker wants us to believe that all of the information was gathered by illegal private investigators and her close friends, and that she had nothing to do with it. Call me crazy, but
That is pretty.
I kind of find that hard to believe.
Technically,
However, what really bothers me is the last line of Charlie's Facebook inquiry to Infiltration's ex-girlfriend.
It's not easy getting all this information
No,
together,
no.
piling it together, editing the video, but drawing the conclusions, trying to draw accurate conclusions. In reality, this is him drawing conclusions
Right,
based on
right.
all the evidence he can find.
Right.
And these conclusions seem pretty valid. Like, you
Right,
can make
right.
arguments like, yeah, this all seems like it could happen.
Yeah.
Now, the opposite could be true. We could all be wrong. But, like, the fact that he's just... You gotta have wits and smarts and, you know, have a plan, like, and plan this all out took time. Like, I'm highly impressed, Tentacles.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't be doing
I'm trying
this.
to tell you, this guy gets
Bro,
down at what he does.
I would not be doing this.
I mean, he's been around for a while, but I just started watching this stuff, I think, in the last couple of years, and I was like, holy shit, this guy is, like, so damn thorough, it's insane.
Yeah.
You know, the sad part is most of the FGC, I mean, this has hella views, but a lot of it is Smash community, too.
Yeah.
But the sad part is most FGC will never care enough to know any of this. They're just like, nah, you already did too much. You're out forever.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying the punishment doesn't fit the crime.
Yeah.
We still have a lot of video to watch. But
Yeah,
I'm just
exactly.
saying-
I was like, there's
I'm
still
just
a lot
saying,
going
this
on.
is what should happen in every case. We should wait for all the fucking information to come out. But, you know, I get it. Panda already did their shit. So, you know, but it is what it is. Let's continue, man.
It reads, a number of girls who were mistreated by him is willing to speak up. This was of course an attempt to convince her that she wasn't alone, but out of all the information to date, there's only one woman who's ever spoken out against Infiltration, that being his ex-wife. If there were more willing to speak up, then why haven't they 6 years later? Now, it's very possible they just got cold feet, or the more likely explanation is that in Charlie's desperate hunt to expose every whisper and rumor he could get his hands on, he yet again jumped the gun and presented a false pretense in order to persuade a testimony, hoping that the evidence would conveniently follow the accusation. The latter of which would really put the ethics of this investigation into question. Infiltration was already charged with a crime of violence and for destruction of property. Why would she be double dipping almost a year later after their separation and attempting to use other people's stories to do it? Since Charlie never posted an update on this alleged case and no news of it exists over half a decade later, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this wasn't for a lawsuit at all. This was an attempt to use the momentum from the Reddit post to compile more stories against Infiltration, resulting in the perfect storm that would end his career. Unfortunately, much to their disappointment, they didn't find anything. So that was the end of it. Whoa there! Hold your horses, Captain Conclusions. This isn't to say that Infiltration is an innocent man. That's not my job. Obviously, the guy was charged with a crime. His verbal abuse and the physical struggle over his ex-wife's phone is well documented and deserves its fair share of scrutiny. But I believe that in this new age of information, a man should be condemned for what he's done, not by a construct of his peers' wishful thinking. And therein lies the real reason why I'm here. I know very well that the thrill of an investigation and personal biases can often blind one to objectivity. Where rumor becomes fact, Hearsay remains unquestioned, and excerpts are cherry-picked at whim. But the beauty of litigation is its tendency to cut through the bullshit and lay everything on the table, reminding us of the simple truth that people and the relationships between them are far more nuanced than we care to admit. And while the truth might not have been as sensational as Charlie had hoped, it ultimately achieved its goal. Infiltration sponsors had no choice but to drop him, as he was now labeled a wife-beater and a liability in the same stroke, losing the comfy six-figure job that most could only ever dream of, and thus marking the beginning of his complete and total ban from every major event in the fighting game community. I actually ran out of time at the studio I was renting, and I did not have enough money for another hour. That shit's expensive. So for all intents and purposes, let's pretend that I'm still in the jail cell, and it looks really fucking cool. I know I said this would be the start of him being banned from every major event in the fighting game community, but since he agreed upon a hiatus with Capcom, where he'd be removed from the Pro Tour for the rest of 2018, and all of 2019, Infiltration wasn't done just yet.
Second strike.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. It's like...
The second strike came in a familiar
I just
package.
don't want to see that. Like, it's like, I believe in second chances, and from what I just saw, it's exactly what I thought. Crazy relationship. Both of them aren't great. They're out of it. Sounds wild.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been together. Okay. Can you grow? Can you move on? Can we forgive that?
Yeah.
But it's like, it just comes out and does these stupid little things where it's like, dude, it's just adding up to where even I'm like, should we even give this guy a second chance?
It's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, you see a lot in the comments too. People are like, man, he just seems to can't get out of his own way.
I know.
And I don't know if it's on, I don't know. I
Is
just don't know.
Is that who he really is, or is this slowly just been what happening because he's just been poisoned and all he's trying to do is just get back and make amends and nothing's working and he can't, no matter what he does, he can't speak up. So he just falling into darkness and just can't, and just making bad decisions because he's like, what else? I have nothing else to lose.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Let's finish this.
Keep in mind that Infiltration wouldn't be officially banned by Capcom until June of 2022 for reasons we'll discuss later. But on Monday, March 22nd, 2021, he'd first have to respond to accusations of match fixing in his own tournament. In 2020, around the time he returned from his suspension, Infiltration moved his Twitch stream to a website called Africa TV, which is like the South Korean equivalent of Twitch.
들려드릴 내용인즉슨 제가 아프리카 TV 단독 송출만을 목적으로 이제 방송 플랫폼을 옮기게 됐습니다.
They were offering large sums of money to fund his tournaments if he chose to stream on their website. So with a new contract in hand and what seemed like a second chance, he set out to expand the reach of fighting games for the entire Korean community. With tournaments for games like Grand Blue Fantasy Versus and Street Fighter V having consistent prize pools, the KFGC looked like it was entering a new era of prosperity. So it's ironic that only when they decided to share their wealth with the less fortunate that everything came crashing down. As 2021 rolled around, Infiltration wanted to try his hand at running beginner-only tournaments. The Grand Blue tournament came and went like any other, and it almost seemed like Street Fighter would be no different. Cue the next morning when all hell breaks loose. The Redditor UO1K called into question the legitimacy of the winner of the Street Fighter beginner tournament. You see, this tournament was specifically capped off for Ultra Bronze ranked players and under, so others felt like the champion was a little too good to be true. He showed a clip of their advanced corner pressure from the tournament, taking rounds off an Ultimate Grandmaster in a casual lobby, public chats between Infiltration and the player where they discuss his apparent skill and how he'd need to rank up to fit in, and how he simply stopped playing ranked matches to stay within the required limit for entry, which some would refer to as smurfing. I honestly don't think this would have gotten as big as it did, had it not been for Infiltration immediately after going on a rant about his detractors following this criticism.
방구석에 앉아가지고 그냥 손가락 놀리는 새끼들이 격투 게임판을 위해서 아무것도 한 게 없는 새끼들이, 냉정하게 말해볼게. 내가 해외대회 나가서 졸라 열심히 하고 성적 내고 영향력 만들고 그래가지고 아프리카가 컨택해주고 이제서야 겨우 10년 넘게 고생해가지고 조금 커뮤니티에다가 뭔가 좀 할 수 있지 않을까 해서 노력하니까 그거를 개병신 새끼 지랄하는 프로게이머라는 새끼가 주작질하고 정치질하고 지들끼리만 놀고 이딴 소리를 해?
Like a mansion in California, the news spread like wildfire, and it
Is this incident just frustration because he finally got some traction? All of a sudden, he feels like the people who were trying to take him down the first time are after him again when he's like, dude, I'm trying to move past that. I'm trying to build this. Like,
It just kind of
you know?
boiled like
and it just
like
boiled
ball.
up because I, as a human being, if that happened to me, I'd be like, dude, I'm good. Tournament and this happens, and all of a sudden all the haters come out, and now I'm being like dragged down again. I'd be like, what the hell? Like real human reaction would be like, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Yeah, but I would imagine like in a situation like that, if you are just trying to do good, you're gonna have a meltdown.
Yeah.
In a way, whether it's public or in private. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
crazy, bro.
It didn't take long before Infiltration was now considered a match fixer who was rigging brackets for his inner circle. That's not exactly good for business. So Africa TV would sever their contract with him to avoid the PR headache, resulting in another loss and a long list of missed opportunities. Oh, how I'd love to just leave it there, end the video, and collect my paycheck. But unfortunately, that's not the full story. 3 years ago on R Kappa, a user by the name GG Minu posted proof that they created the graphics for Infiltration's Sprout tournament, and claimed to have run the infamous bracket himself. They gave a complete timeline of events, starting from the successful Grand Blue tournament, all the way to the posting of the allegations. According to Minu, when the event ended, their community Discord was already being flooded with accusations of match fixing and favoritism. So while Infiltration was readying a response, he temporarily locked down the Discord. Player A was apparently a notably good Grand Blue player, but was entirely new to Street Fighter. He'd routinely hang out and participate in Infiltration's community Discord to gain advice and experience, but also played most of his matches in unranked lobbies. And even though he was new to the game, there's very valid reasons why either the rules should have been changed or he should not have been allowed to enter. It's why running a tournament based on arbitrary ranking systems is so difficult. However, in a different Redditor's thread, he said, but this is not just smurfing, this is match fixing. To substantiate this claim, he shows an interaction of Infiltration talking to the player before the tournament and showing him the bracket. They both discuss how he's seeded to meet a fellow Discord member in the bracket. If you look at the breakdown of his reasoning, he includes the part, modified, memory confusion, sorry. This is in response to another user who called out the fact that he was incorrectly stating that Infiltration changed the seeding after showing the player the bracket beforehand. The original poster replied, sorry, that was my memory confusion. Modified. Thank you. So how is this match fixing? All the evidence shows is that Infiltration talked about the bracket beforehand. There's no fucking evidence of any bracket manipulation. I think Infiltration noticed the potential player A had and wanted to avoid this exact scenario, but the strict adherence to the ranking system as opposed to a more common sense approach to what constitutes a beginner is honestly what fucked him over here. This wasn't like his close friend he was securing a payday for, neither did he rearrange the bracket just for him to win. But he absolutely could have taken the criticism for entry requirements a lot better and simply fixed it the next time instead of getting pissed off. The problem would have fixed itself naturally, considering player A wouldn't have been allowed to enter future events anyways according to the rules. This was like $400 split between 8 people. Let me put that into perspective real quick. First place got less than $200, second got just under 80, third received around 40, and everyone else basically won $15 to $20 gift cards. And if you're really losing your mind over like $195, what are we doing here? Of course it's not nothing, and sure, this isn't like an ideal scenario, and we can definitely criticize the execution. But you'd think Infiltration stole from a homeless shelter the way these people talk about it. It was a sponsor-funded event, and the money would have gone to some random guy who just bought Street Fighter and would never enter again. But if you're one of the few unlucky people who never recovered from this financial opportunity 4 years later, you could always enter Squid Game. Just kidding. What I meant to say was, Player A and Infiltration have both issued an apology for how things ended in a recent upload to his YouTube channel.
안녕하세요. 저는 초보자 토너먼트 당시 우승했던 A라고 합니다. 제가 3년 전에 디스코드의 채널에 남긴
It was a dumb mistake. Yeah, but when he broke it down, it's like, dude, this was a nothing burger, basically.
So Infiltration actually apologized right here, saying, due to the carelessness remarks I made on the Discord channel 3 years ago, I caused many people to misunderstand. So he's apologizing for how aggressive he came out, you know, because he felt offended.
경솔한 발언으로 인해 많은 분들을 오해하게 만들었습니다. 늦었지만 지금이라도 여러분들에게 오해를 불러일으킨 점 진심으로 사과드립니다.
이처럼 A는 당시의 상황에 대해서 자신이 실수한 점을 사과하고 있습니다. 그리고 이제는 제 차례입니다. 제가 미숙했고 감정적인 모습을 보였고 후속 대처 또한 좋지 않았습니다. 만약 여러분들이 저의 사과를 받아주시지 않더라도 겸허하게 받아들이겠습니다. 앞으로 같은 실수를 반복하지 않는 행동으로 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 진심으로 죄송합니다.
If it was even like 500 for first place, I'd probably care a lot more. I think an apology is sufficient for this. I really don't see this being a big issue.
The second strike's not a strike. Okay, third strike.
Oh boy. I'm probably gonna get hit with this one too after that Squid Game joke, but thankfully, I'm not going pro anytime soon. This entire section can be summed up in a clip, so I'm just gonna show you what he said.
So I can say that N-word, I can say the F-word to you because we are friends. Man, because I'm Asian, this is racist things, but if you are best friend, if you are my FGC friend, we can talk about this. We can say this. If you are black, I can say you N-word. Man, you sucks. And you can say me, oh, motherfucker, you eat rice? You eat rice? You eat kimchi every day?
Yeah, I censored it. You want to hear it yourself? Go fucking look it up. I'm trying to get paid, dude. So you're telling me the guy from South Korea who speaks English as a second language and literally can't even talk to me without an interpreter present.
We have the interview that you guys have been waiting for. I am joined with Infiltration and our interpreter, Mr. Burnout Fighter.
I am here with Infiltration and Burnout Fighter, who is going to translate.
To the audience that's listening, we also have his translator here, Will, and I'm just grateful to have both of you guys here.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
Explained the non-derogatory
You're all over
use
this video.
of
Look at
slurs
you.
in a casual setting
You're
with
so
friends.
camera
And
ready, bro.
as a fellow African myself, am supposed to be upset.
Can he say the N-word? No. What? Why would he even feel comfortable with saying the N-word in front of hundreds of people live on Twitch?
I am too tired and too annoyed. But anyways, here's a video for those who care of Infiltration saying the N-word. Peace and take care. Say what you want to say in the comments. I don't care.
However, I think treating the N-word like Voldemort is a very US-centric and silly concept that doesn't actually help anyone. If anything, being this unreasonable is going to make people more racist.
Hey, did you just say the N-word? I'm gonna violently assault you now.
Wow, racism cured. Imagine that. Feel free to call me a derogatory slur in response to that, which is not ironic in the slightest.
Peace and take care. Say what you want to say in the comments. I don't care.
Social commentary and memes aside, a lot of people wrongfully attribute Infiltration's ban from Evo, CEO, Combo Breaker, etc. to this Twitch stream. It probably didn't help and did get him a short ban on Twitch, but it actually happened right after he posted a twitlonger discussing how he was already being rejected and offered a refund for tournaments.
If they care my 2018 cases, why Evo and other other organizers, why they allowed my enter at Evo 2019? Why? This is not fair.
One of his major concerns was the fact that he was never informed of the specific reason for his ban, and they only linked the Code of Conduct page with the insinuation that some infraction must have taken place anywhere between 2019, when he last attended EVO, and the current day. My money would be on the match-fixing story from earlier, but who's to say for sure? Knowing the esports scene, it could even be as simple as wanting to avoid bad PR following the mass panic from the 2020 Me Too wave of allegations. As far as Capcom, it would almost look like an endorsement of Infiltration if they didn't fall in line with the ban wave. But you could argue him saying the N-word was the perfect scapegoat to enact their agreement from 2018, and finally issue him that long-awaited lifetime ban. Why else would their official statement only come 2 weeks after the public outrage for separate bans and for the alleged racism? I've never been much of a fan when it comes to a lack of transparency. After all, punishments are meant to set a precedent and curb future undesired behavior. How can you possibly do that if we need to sit here and play a guessing game just to figure out what resulted in Infiltration's lifetime ban from the FGC? Was it the domestic violence case? That can't be right. He still went to multiple major events and received a significant streaming contract with Africa TV. Was it the alleged bracket rigging? I mean, he definitely pissed off a lot of people, so it's possible. Or was it because he said the N-word? 2 years prior, a player known as Ceroblast received a ban for the 2020 season after a clip resurfaced of them using the N-word multiple times. If the intent doesn't matter, which it hardly ever does, I think it's safe to say that, albeit a stupid decision, this was most likely the cause of Infiltration's official Capcom ban. There's another, more recent incident involving tweets about a specific demographic. I'm not going to say what race, what people, and what videos got posted. We know I can't say that. But at this point in the story, he's already banned for life, so I don't really feel like getting into it for obvious reasons. If you're curious, go look it up. In conclusion, between the criminal charges, alleged bracket rigging, and everyone's favorite letter of the alphabet, the case of Infiltration is a complicated one. With a mountain of opinions, summaries, threads, and documentation, it can at times be difficult to follow. People nowadays would rather act first, research second. For instance, at the start, I showed you every single detail in the case with Infiltration's ex-wife. Nowhere is there anything even close to an accusation of rape, yet his champion placement on promotional Evo material in 2024 was vandalized nonetheless. You can criticize, protest, and expose whoever you want, but you don't need to lie to do it. Sensationalism is often the product of online discourse. Instead of simply citing a medical report or the verdict, I'm now forced to read the ramblings of a Reddit vigilante and how it was all a secret plot to kill her and seize all her assets. And his ex-wife wanted to drop the case and get back together days later, but instead, he told her how much he hated her, sued her for $100,000, pissed her off in December when he visited and she suspected him of two-timing, and then she leaked his private information and court documents to major organizations and sponsors. To be clear, again, I don't think this is at all how you should treat a woman or an argument in general. Regardless of how his private information and court documents to major organizations and sponsors. To be clear, again, I don't think this is at all how you should treat a woman or an argument in general, regardless of how disillusioned or resentful you become during a divorce. But contacting someone's exes for a fake lawsuit, leaking their receipts to accuse them of non-existent fraud, and screen recording their phone to engineer a cheating scandal isn't exactly exemplary behavior either. He served the agreed-upon 2-year ban with Capcom, and that was it. Or at least it should have been, had he not been an idiot on stream by pissing everyone off who was upset at the beginner tournament and saying the N-word. Never a good idea if you want job security. Oh, what's this? Oh, well, I'll be. Looks like my Patreon money came in. I guess I can't afford that studio. I'll be right back. I can give you all the facts. I can say this is stupid. He served his time for a case that happened 7 years ago. Let him play the damn game. But they're never gonna unban him. That's not how this works anymore. You can finish a prison sentence faster than an esports ban these days. But what I can do is give you something far more important than any game or competition. And that's the truth. Some people thought I'd just swoop in, prove Infiltration is innocent, and all would be right with the world. But life can be as disappointing as it is great. But as long as we continue to value truth, we may yet find our way out of here.
All right. Time's up.
Wait, what?
Your sentence. It's up. You're free to go.
But I, stabbed and killed 3 people.
Yeah. This is the UK. You're a free man, detective.
But what about my Smash ban?
Oh, that? That's forever.
Are you serious?
Yeah. You made, a lot of people uncomfortable. We can't have that.
Damn. Can I at least have a goodbye kiss?
Why not?
Until next time. John, can you come over here? Can you just
There.
I love that, Eddie. Can I have a good mic?
There we have it. Y'all, if I was a private investigator, I should say if I was a content investigator, I would do it like he does it because I like the way he does the comedy. He adds himself in there, and that's how I feel like I do button check. Anyway, a lot.
I mean, look.
A lot.
He laid the most in-depth investigation, information out that anyone has on this, and it just seems exactly like what I thought. I'm like, it sounds like he's dating a crazy bitch like I am. That's literally what I thought when this happened. And the evidence had proved me right. I could call him like I see him. I know a crazy woman a mile away now, okay? Okay, I can smell him. I know I know I see a guy in a relationship, I'm like, he's in a relationship with a crazy woman. I give him a hug. I give him a hug. I remember one time I started this new job and I was talking to people, and we're talking about relationships, and I was talking, and we're checking. I was telling them that like I was in a relationship with this girl who's bipolar, diagnosed bipolar, and one of the guys looks at me. He was like, "Oh my god, dude, I have dated someone like you. Like, you need a hug." And he was fucking right. I gave him a hug, and I go, for real, because he knew exactly what I was going through. Because it was not easy, bro. Damn. And if I were to run into a person to this day who was in that similar situation, I'd be like, dude, you need a hug, bro? Like, you need some help? Like, for real. Like, I get what you're going through. Man or woman. Yeah. If even it was like, hey, if you're a woman, hey, do you want to talk about this? Because I know exactly this is not easy. Right. You know, this is you're in a relationship and it's not okay. Like you're with crazy people. It's not fun sometimes.
And that's the sad part is like you've seen people are. That's why people say don't date in the FGC because like the last thing you want is your information out there because everything's all fine and dandy until the person gets jaded. You never know what they're going to use against you, and they can say anything. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it can make you look really bad. And the sad story is, long story short, what he said at the end is he maybe been able to beat this domestic case after all the the years passed or more evidence came out, but he kept finding himself in other situations to piss people off. And the last one that he didn't even mention, which there's a button check about it if you guys want to watch it, but he talked about another demographic. He claimed he wasn't racist. He claimed he wasn't.
I remember that.
Yeah. This just happened like last month.
Yes.
He claimed he wasn't. He was like, I love everybody. I'm not being racist. But they were like, bro, you may not have meant it to be racist, but you're quote retweeting somebody that probably is racist.
Yes.
So it comes off bad. And you're getting political now on your Twitter, and other people are like, bro, you're really leaning into this.
Yeah, and that's not okay. It's like, bro, don't be talking about our politics. You don't know. You don't even live in this country. You have no idea about it, bro.
Man, it is what it is. It never goes right. When you see the FGC start getting political, certain players, you know what I'm saying, it never goes good.
And look, the reality is like, hey, we saw this video, watch the full thing for yourself, you know, but the reality is like he's right. He laid out the best evidence, the best case for infiltration. So if you just take the assault charge for what it is and all that stuff, you'd be like, bro, this should be an easy win for him. Yes, he made those other mistakes. But the reality is no matter what's happening at this point, he's right. He's never going to be unbanned at this point. No. Like literally, we should watch this video, say he's never going to be on stand. You make your own points. Let us know if you think that, yes, he's innocent when it comes to the assault charge, but he just buried himself. But I think should be the last time we talk about this.
I think so.
Like on this channel, I think
that's why I wanted to watch this video.
Yeah, like honestly, on this channel, unless there's a story about him that he did something crazy.
Some crazy shit, right?
If something's coming out again where people are talking about ban infiltration and like, hey, it's infiltration and it's a story about a ban, we shouldn't discuss it. Yeah, never again.
That's when you know it was really over. I mean, it was already over.
Yeah.
But do you guys remember right before he said this last thing that we just mentioned, the incident that happened last month?
Yeah.
About the certain demographic?
Yeah.
He was supposed to go back to a tournament. There was going to be a tournament overseas that was proudly like, infiltration is back. And certain people were praising them like, good for you, we want to see him play.
Yes.
People were getting hype about it. Matter of fact, I think I received an email from these particular TOs saying we are excited to have him back.
Yes.
This was just like this year, you know what I'm saying? It was supposed to happen like in January, February, I don't know, something recent, right? And then Infiltration makes the post that people considered racist, even though, like I said, Infiltration didn't look at it like racist. A lot of people did. It was shortly after the tournament says, Infiltration will no longer be coming to our tournament. And people are like, that's what's up, yada, yada. I'm like, fuck, like again?
It's so crazy, man, because like it's, the scope of racism is so different wherever you live.
Yeah.
Like race and racism and race politics matters in America.
Yeah.
But doesn't really matter in different countries. I'm not saying it's a good thing or it's right, but I'm saying it's so hard pressed to judge infiltration sometimes when it's like maybe that's not a big deal in Korea,
right?
Or maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't
know. But if I gauge it from the American lens, like my normal lens, I'm like, bro, what the hell are you doing? You can't say that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It
know.
doesn't look good from the American lens, that's for sure. These glasses, I'm like, woo, what's that? I don't know. Keep that band going on. Let me get my notes out here. Infiltration. Criminal Su Wong Kwok, whatever his name is. Band. Okay, we got that locked in.
Y'all let me know how you feel about this. The infiltration case aside, I really think after Technicals buried it or opened it and then reburied it, I think it should be dead. You know, they're never going to let him back in.
It's over.
I don't know
This
what
subject's
time
over.
holds. Yeah. Now, if something else crazy like he was saying, we'll definitely talk about it. Obviously, we won't give you all the news. But for now, I think this right here, I think we have to put it to bed. You know what I'm saying? How y'all feeling? Thank you guys for the amazing love. And of course, the mouth of the South, Dirrty Lo. Thank you, man, for coming through one more time.
My pleasure. I was looking forward to this video. I really was.
He had to be in it. He had to be in it. So I appreciate it. I know this was probably one of the biggest videos that we've done in a long time, but obviously timestamps, all that good stuff. We'll see you soon. If not tomorrow, definitely the next day. And as always, we don't know what it is, even though it's about to be doomed. Even though it's all about to be doomed somehow, it's about to get better. Love y'all forever. Peace.
Blah, blah, blah. Subscribe.
I know a lot of people think you preaching right now. How y'all feeling about that?
I don't know. It's not preaching.
promise.
You know what? You know what? It's not preaching. You want to know why it's not preaching?
Why?
Because a preacher will talk to you about damnation and then give you hope.
Okay.
Say there is salvation. You can rise above the damnation. You can rise above hell. You can rise above sin. I don't have that for you. I don't have the answers. I don't have a pretty picture. There is no FGC heaven. We're just in purgatory. We're not even in hell. We're just stagnant. This is what it's going to be, and it's mind-numbing. At least hell would be something entertaining. At least it'd be a different sensation than just being another product. Just again, another part of the industry that has turned us into a product. We built this from our hands. We built this community from legitimately the fighting game community was built by the players. The tournaments, Evo was built by blood, sweat, and tears, and we just let it out of our hands. We're to blame. The organizers are to blame. In the pursuit of protection, in pursuit of money, we've lost what really matters to us. And I don't have a response. It's sad. This is 2025. It's not starting out great, apparently. I don't know what to tell you guys. Am I wrong here?
I think you're on
I
fire.
feel like the boys kind of understand the frustration of like, dude, what are we going to do this year?
I think Rick's on fire right now.
Dude, we got great games coming out, but will it be great? Will we grow? No, we're just going to argue more about this in this game. We're not a community anymore. We have to do something about this.
It's Dirty Lo, Dirty Lo, Dirty Lo, Dirty Lo.